art and women's suffrage. It's not something that's often brought to life, but as we celebrate Women's Suffrage Week, KMR Local 4's Jackie Kingston speaks with a local artist about how art can play a pivotal role during a historic moment.
This week, we are reflecting on women's suffrage, and we're highlighting some amazing women who are here in our community. Joining me today is artist Nicole Stewart, who also works at the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum. Nicole, I have known most of the women who have come in here. I'm delighted to get to meet you for the first time and to talk with you a little bit about suffrage. Thanks for making time.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me.
Talk to me a little bit about reflecting on this 100 years of suffrage. Give me your observations, your reflections, your thoughts on all of that.
So before coming here, I decided to do a little bit of research. And so I think the major thing that struck me was how long the fight for women's right to vote was, and the fact that it took decades for it to happen. And then I feel like just living in a time now to where we're used to having so many rights, sometimes it's good to reflect on how long it took those rights to get here. And so,
how do you think that suffrage and ties into the arts? How do you think that what people are striving for can be reflected in art?
Well, I know everybody's heard that saying, like, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But I feel like in the arts, that's really true. And then I feel like it's also, art expresses things that can't be put into words. So a lot of what people are feeling, what they're struggling with, their beliefs, like all of it can be put into art. And I feel like a lot of times, like when you're talking to people and they disagree or they're really passionate, sometimes you can get interrupted. But with art, it's a physical form that's completed, it's out there, no one can interrupt you, no one can take your words back.
I think it's interesting too that art is one of those things that is so differently interpreted. And we can draw upon things, in pieces of art. You can draw upon things at certain times in your life that maybe you get different effects from the art, depending on what you're going through. Who are some artists who have inspired you? How has art propelled your career?
Well, first starting out, there were like a huge group of artists that inspired me. But I know an artist that I'm really looking into right now is Ringgold. She has these pieces, and so she creates art through making tapestries and quilts, and like it's sort of a narrative. It's like there's a picture flowing from like one quilt to another. And another artist I've been looking into just recently, her name is Carla Edwards, and I really appreciate her work as well because she also does weaving and tapestry, which is something that I'm really interested in.
It tells such an interesting story, the texture of tapestry, in my opinion, I think. Why do you think that arts and culture are so important in our society? Why are art, obviously you would like to teach art, which is, I think, just one of the most important things that we can do for kids is teach them art and teach them how to express themselves in that way. So I'm excited that you want to do that. But why do you think that that's important?
I feel like it's really important, especially for children, because it gives them a way to express themselves to where they don't have a vocabulary that's as big as adults, and so they get to create artwork. And I also feel like it's important because like art survives the test of time. So like a lot of times in history, you may not find text and different things, but there's always art being discovered by different historians. And so you take the art and you analyze it like based on the time period and what was happening in that time period, and it gives you a pretty solid narrative of what was happening. So I always found that super interesting.
What do you think about femininity and feminism and art and the intersection of those two things? Do women, are women driving the art scene now?
I feel like more women are pushing to drive the art scene now, but it's just interesting, like art is still very much a man's world. And so men artists are paid more than women artists. They have bigger exhibitions than women. But I feel like it's really important for like women artists to continue to push because it's important to get like that viewpoint that's more than just a man's viewpoint. So just our stories as being women, as feeling oppressed in different ways, and just like really expressing yourself.
Nicole Stewart, thank you so much for coming in. It was so nice to talk to you.
Yes, ma'am. It was great to talk to you.
Now, there are a number of places in our area displaying art exhibitions that you can visit and experience a world through someone else's eyes. To see this and our other women's suffrage stories, head on over to our website, myhighplains.com. Now, we've put them all under the community tab titled Women's History.